the World Championships in Hoogerheide from the Wessex Walleys. Welcome to the GCN Show!
Yay! Welcome to the GCN Show.
Coming up this week, can you turn pro by blitzing Strava segments? Quite possibly, and we will let you know how.
We're also going to look at how Pidcock outshone both Van der Poel and Van Aert at the Cyclocross Worlds this weekend. We've also got a ground coffee paint job and how harsh Canadian winters make you tougher than mere mortals.
Well, do they, Dan? That's still up for debate.
This week in the world of cycling, we learned that the battle for the world's best cyclist is hotting up, with Tadej Pogačar now demonstrating his ability to do one-handed wheelies, as well as pretty much everything else, really.
Literally everything else. Sickening, isn't it? You know what? I bet he was doing 400 watts at the time.
Probably was.
As well. We also learned definitively that sneaky training is the way forward.
And no, I've not been doing any. But as you know, Mathieu van der Poel has been keeping his cards very close to his chest for the last few weeks. And it paid off in dividends, didn't it, at the Cyclocross World Championships, where he beat arch nemesis Wout van Aert in what was a thrilling battle from start to finish.
Amazing, wasn't it? There's him winning with an epic sprint, and then here's his Strava. Nothing.
No. Very strange situation, isn't it? Because I'm pretty sure that he did do something on Sunday.
Well, yeah, I am
looked
too.
That way on the TV, didn't it?
Maybe he's just forgotten his password.
That would explain things, wouldn't it? Well, we didn't get quite the head-to-head battle that we were after in the women's elite race, although it was still a cracker. Fem van Empel was too strong for Puk Pieter after a mistake from the latter gave Van Empel a gap. She basically never looked back, did she?
No.
She looks like she's out for a recovery ride, Van Empel, when she's racing.
She did, didn't she? Yeah. The racing across the weekend was epic in Hoogerheide. We've got it all on GCN Plus, of course. If you missed it, 40,000 spectators watched it live, didn't they? And we, as TV viewers, were treated to the rare sight of live drone footage of the race as well.
A drone that apparently was given a nickname by Belgian commentators, Pidcock, because it was constantly trying to follow Mathieu van der Poel and Wout van Aert around the course.
That is good. Good banter, Belgian commentators. Right, finally, we also learned this week that you might be able to turn pro through performances on Strava. And no, Dan, before you ask, you cannot submit 14-year-old Strada Bianca Strava files. Well, I don't know, probably.
Joking aside though, this is really cool. Red Bull announced a talent ID program last week that's going to use both Zwift and Strava to try and find the next World Tour pros.
Yeah, so over the next 4 months, they say they're challenging cyclists all over the world to ride specific segments from which they will take data from Strava on the best times and efforts to decide if you've got what it takes.
Yes, some of these segments are in various different Zwift worlds. I think there's 13 of them in total, which means that riders can take part from anywhere around the world. And to me, it sounds like another fantastic way to try and get noticed. If you see yourself as good enough to compete with the biggest pros, I might even dust my own bike down for this side.
Unfortunately, actually, jokes aside, there is another snag there, Dan.
Is there?
Well, yes. So whilst anyone can enter, the ultimate prize of a place on the Auto Eder team, which is the Bora Hansgrohe junior development team, is only available for male riders born in 2006 or 2007.
Right, 2006 and 7. That as a year of birth makes me feel even older than I am.
Yes.
It does seem very short-sighted though to only have it open the main prize to male athletes, and I can only assume that that is going to change sooner rather than later. What it does do though is open up another legitimate pathway towards a pro contract that doesn't necessarily involve going out and getting really good race results, or indeed just by being noticed by the right people at the right time.
True. I mean, it could be a sign of the future, couldn't it, really? What with the Zwift Academy, and then now this Red Bull Strava method, there are more and more ways to get noticed, aren't there, wherever you are in the world. But it has happened before though, hasn't it? The old Strava KOM
Is it?
pro. Yes, Jonas Vingegaard, wasn't it? It was his Strava KOM on the Col de Rats that alerted Jumbo-Visma to his potential. At the time, was he working in a fish market?
Something along those lines.
And then 4 years later...
No one really ever talks about that,
No, he was a fishmonger, and then 4 years later, he won the Tour de France, which is quite the trajectory.
Yeah. He's going to have a full team lead out from what I remember for that Strava KOM, but nonetheless, very good effort.
A team of fishmongers.
Yes. Anyway, equating time segments with race results isn't foolproof, as we know, though, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, you are a case in point with your Strava Bianca KOM.
No, but I mean, look at the Sacalobra segment over in Mallorca. I mean, that is one of the most hotly contested around the world. Hill climb specialist Ed Laverick got the KOM there. Everyone made a big song and dance about it. But then Tom Pidcock, the actual Tom Pidcock, not the drone, went up at 2 minutes quicker.
Yeah, doing a one-handed wheelie at the time, wasn't he? It's got to be said, when pros tackle Strava segments, you do get a feel for how quick the rider really is.
Exactly, yeah. And the other point is that to win races, you have to be able to do that kind of power after 4, 5, or 6 hours of racing. And I think this is where Phil Gill got caught out. Philippe Gilbert, the rider who won Liège-Bastogne-Liège back in 2011. Because a couple of years ago, I'm not sure if you remember, he dared other riders to try and beat his time up La Redoute, the most famous climb on Liège-Bastogne-Liège.
In his backyard, isn't it?
Because he just set a very fast time. And would you know it, about 3 riders came and did beat him.
But didn't you say as well that you could do for a minute what Philippe Gilbert could do for a minute?
Well, as it happens, I rode up the Col de la Madone, sort of with Philippe Gilbert and sort of behind him just a few days ago, as you do. And chatting to him there, he said, I can do over 800 watts for a minute, or at least he could when he was a pro. And I said, do you know what, Phil? I could also do over 800 watts for a minute. So then he said, but could you do it after 6 hours? To which I replied, no, not a chance. That is what he was able to do for a minute at the end of a 6-hour race when he was on top form.
Yeah, so if you really want to know if you got what it takes to be a pro, go and get a Strava KOM, then go and do a 100-mile, 160k bike ride, and then go and try and beat your KOM and see whether you can do it. That's basically it, isn't it?
That is essentially what we're saying.
Basically, yeah. Anyway, if you would like to apply for that Red Bull Strava Academy, we'll leave a link in the description below. Back to the cyclocross worlds now, because one other incident that was picked up by the TV cameras was the Canadian rider Michael van den Ham snapping his finger back into place after a crash at the start of the Elite's men's race.
He went on to continue the race and finish it in 33rd position, and his finger finished in place, didn't it? Now, many of us might think this is an heroic thing to do, but Andrew Watson on Twitter does not agree, does he?
No, he doesn't. So Andrew Watson says, everyone thinking Michael van den Ham is all tough after his coarse side finger fix today. He's from Winnipeg. Have you ever been to Winnipeg in winter? This was a cakewalk. Seriously, Canadians.
Yes, exactly. Canadians, over to you.
That's right. We know that your winters are some of the toughest, most brutal conditions anywhere this side of, well, Pluto, frankly.
You know how we know? Because you tell us.
Absolutely. Anyway, our friend Alex Stieda, the first North American to wear the yellow jersey in the Tour de France, no less, has shown just what it takes to brave a real winter.
Hey, Cy, Connor, Dan. Welcome to my world here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. It's about -20 now with a wind chill about -30. 2 things we gotta be aware of when we're riding in this colder weather. You're not breathing too deeply into your lungs, so you gotta wear a face mask. And exposed skin, if it starts to turn white, it's a sign of frostbite.
Is he really serious?
Surely not.
No, surely not.
You're welcome to ride at -42, but out here, we think that's kind of dangerous. That's not something we do.
He's not that tough then, is he?
No. Has he not watched any of our How to Ride in Winter videos?
Is it -42? That's fine, isn't it? Right, come on then, Alex.
Winter here in the Canadian prairies is a lot different than your winter in the mega base at GCN. As you can see where I live now, there's snow on the ground all winter. The packed trails are actually much better to ride on. We have hundreds of kilometers of packed trails here in the Edmonton River Valley. So I prefer to ride on the packed trails on my mountain bike rather than on the road with all the de-icer and the windrows taking away the shoulder. So here's a few tips and tricks I use to stay warm in the dry cold. I suffer from having frozen my hands and feet so many times in bike races. I have to be really careful with them, but I use these pogies on my mountain bike. With a light winter glove, it's perfect. If it does get colder, however, I'll use a battery heated glove. Just turn those on like that, and maybe even wear an overmitt over top. On my head, you can see I'm just wearing my regular helmet. I have actually taped these vents over before, or even put on an aero cover to block the wind. I've got a scully on here, one layer on my head, a balaclava.
His hair's as immaculate as yours, mate.
Yeah.
When he takes off a hat.
Neck warmer. For my core, I've got a few layers. So I've got this ultimate puffy vest, which is super warm, enough wind protection there. So that's a nice layer to put on if it's extra cold. The Alpha Ultimate jacket, again, Castelli's warmest jacket. It's got this nice warm layer underneath. Oh, and look what I have here. A heartwarming story from Herbie Sykes about Franco Balmamian, and an old-time pro who won the Giro twice. Great story to read by the fire in the winter. So, got this Flanders warm undershirt. This is awesome. Just enough. And then a wicking layer underneath to keep the sweat off my skin. On my feet, I'll either use a insulated bootie over top of my regular mountain bike shoes, because I like to be clipped in. Some guys use a hiking boot with flat pedals, but I still like to be clipped in. Or I'll even use this winter cycling boot with a battery-powered insole that can add some extra warmth. So a couple options there to stay warm with my feet. For my pants, got a nice windproof layer here on top.
How far do you think he's going to go? We're going to get a full
Well,
frontal.
I'm starting to get worried. I'm not sure how much we'll see if he goes the whole way, given how cold it is there.
And again, that's when it's super cold. Want to control the wind. So this is the cycling pant made from Carpos, windproof. I've got these Polari winter tights, windproof front layer with insulation. So that's a really nice option there. For fuel in the winter, I use an insulated water bottle, hot water with scratch added in. Way better than tea and cognac any day. I hope this gives you an idea what it's like to ride in the dry cold. -20 is probably as cold as we're gonna get. I'm getting a bit cold right now, actually. But you know, you guys are welcome to come out and ride with me anytime. Just get on a plane and fly over. See you soon.
Well, I mean, thank you very much, Alex. I don't know about you, I'm quite busy until about May.
Yeah, I've got a window in late July, early August, I think.
Yeah, so we could go for a winter ride with you in, after the Tour de France then, August, should we say?
Yeah, and I'll bring my heated insoles and gloves.
Yeah, we'll see how tough Canadian winters are then. By the way, Alex, just one question. How are you after your prostate cancer surgery?
Thanks for asking about my prostate cancer surgery. I had surgery a year and a half ago to remove my prostate. Life is good without a prostate. I feel very fortunate to have caught the prostate cancer early, thanks to testing. Best part about not having a prostate? No more finger testing.
Well, that wasn't quite the ending that I was expecting. I'm very glad, obviously, that Alex has recovered from his prostate cancer, but...
Yeah, for those of you it's relevant for, get checked. You, particularly, Dan, your age.
Yes, I probably should get checked, shouldn't I? I wonder if that Michael van den Ham is a doctor of some sort, and that was why that finger was quite weak at the start of the Cyclocross World Championships.
Well, there's a thought. Yeah, anyway, there we go. Anyway, Alex, thank you so much for taking the time to take us through your kit for winter. Can I just still say, like, such a nice bloke, such a great advocate for cycling, that you've made -20 Canadian winters look delightful. I'd far rather that than 2 degrees and rain.
Well, exactly. It doesn't look too bad at all over there.
Not
I mean,
at all.
had he stripped off like that over here with drizzle and 2 degrees, then he'd know how cold he could be.
Absolutely, yeah. No amount of clothing is going to keep you warm when it's 2 degrees and raining, apart from perhaps a wetsuit. But then you just end up drowning in sweat, wouldn't you?
Anyway, as ever, we like your thoughts and opinions, but these next comments we would like from Canadians. Have you got any more tips to add, apart from what Alex has already said about how you deal with riding over the winter months? Please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. I know you will feel free to do that.
Yeah. You know who is often quiet in these discussions? Scandinavians. See, I reckon they've probably got the most brutal winters of all, haven't they?
Quite possibly, yes.
So yeah, if anyone from Norway, Sweden, Finland, maybe Denmark even fancies piping up in the comment section.
Yeah.
But Estonia gets pretty tough.
I expect so. I think just all of those countries don't moan quite as much as Canadians when they watch one of our how-to winter videos. No, I'm joking, of course. Went to Canada last year, absolutely loved the place and everyone there.
And now it's time for cycling shorts.
Cycling shorts now, and we're going to start with some great news from GCN viewer Matthew Rittenhouse.
We are. We're always suggesting to people out there, aren't we, that the best thing to do to make cyclists safer and make life better for us is to get in touch with your local authorities and representatives, and that is exactly what Matthew has gone and done.
Exactly that, yeah. So a bill has now been put forward in his native Hawaii, which would give high school students $2,000 towards an e-bike or a normal bike to reduce traffic, increase awareness of bicycles, help keep our teens fit, and maybe create some lifelong cyclists. Matthew says he also figured that local bike shops would support this, as it could be a sales and a service boon for them as well.
It's an absolutely fantastic initiative,
Yeah.
isn't it? Hopefully that one will make it through, fingers crossed. Matthew, by the way, is also the guy who sent us a load of the famous Girl Scout cookies, which I think Connor ate, didn't he?
Yes. Well, he definitely ate them. Do you know what? If they'd had that grant in place, I wouldn't have had to have got a job in a supermarket.
No.
Pay for my bikes, because they just cracked straight on.
But then that would mean you'd never had a proper job in your life.
Yes, I mean, that is true, actually. Yeah, I'm a very fortunate man. Anyway, we released a video last week where I chatted to Inigo San Milan again. So he is, of course, the head of performance at UAE Emirates. He's Tele Pogaccia's coach, and he's also a top-flight cancer researcher. But we spoke about the dangers of overtraining. Definitely worth a watch/listen to. Probably not something you need to worry about, Dan.
What, the dangers of overtraining? No, almost definitely not, I
No.
can imagine.
Anyway, I saw on Inigo San Milan's Instagram at the weekend that he had spent all of January doing only Zone 2 training indoors, and yet he just done a personal record up his local 4-kilometre long climb. So there you have it. Zone 2 training works, and that's from the horse's mouth.
That said, he is also riding the brand new Colnago team issue V4 RS, and he did concede that it might have had a slight effect as well, didn't he?
Yes, yeah. Now here is another performance-enhancing bike, or potential performance-enhancing bike anyway, a Canyon Speedmax TT bike, already about as fast as it gets, but now it's got a ground coffee paint job.
Yes, 100 special edition Speedmax Fredissimo tri-bikes are finished with 7 grams of coffee.
Yeah, apparently it's a thoroughbred triathlon race bike delivering fine taste and extreme performance in equal measure.
Taste and performance. Not usually 2 words seen in the same sentence as triathlon, but there you go. I mean, certainly if you ever find yourself so on the limit in a ride, you can now lick your top tube, can't you?
Yeah,
a big hit.
You imagine that. I tell you what, I can actually picture triathletes going around licking their top tubes for a bit of caffeine.
I've got one bit of advice though.
Go on.
Don't lick it if it's the winter in Canada.
We've just got images of I'm stuck!
Right.
Well, you'd be all right with a carbon bike, wouldn't you?
I don't know. I'm sure even carbon that cold must be, there might be a danger of getting stuck. Surely.
Yeah.
I might have to cut there and get back to you later.
Oh God, right. In other news, in a similar yet also very different concept, to the Red Bull Talent Scouting project, from the ground up, has recently opened applications for
I'll take it from here, mate.
Yeah, go on.
This is a project that was started from Alexi Vermeulen and Ryan Petrie, which aims to help entry-level cyclists train for and then complete a very big cycling event. And that event is going to be the Leadville 100. One that's hard to complete, even if you're a lifelong cyclist, let alone a beginner and entry level. It's a really great idea, I've got to say, this one. And if you or someone you know would like to get involved, we'll leave a link to the application page in the description just down below. So I'll be with us again for hacks and bodges.
I will know.
On our side, excitement is building here about this year's Global Bike Festival, which, to remind you, takes place in June in Saalbach, Austria. It's also a place where you can join us even if you have just started cycling. Particularly, in fact, if you just started, because we are going to be holding descending and gravel riding masterclasses, as well as hosting sessions that hone basic and advanced riding skills. All of that is included with your festival ride pass ticket. Are you back with us, Si? A few deep breaths, please.
Yeah, you will need to register.
You will do.
Wait for that. And places.
Some of the sessions will be limited, Si. But if you book your festival tickets for the end of February, you'll be given the first option to reserve your place when the registration opens. Right, another piece of news from our side.
Doing a great job.
We would like to give a very warm welcome to Silka as a brand new partner of GCN. So Silka is a company, as many of you will be well aware, that has a reputation for manufacturing the best products in their category. So we were delighted to partner up them. We're very pleased to be working with them.
There you go, look, ultimate bike wash.
That's the limit of his contribution. Yes.
Well, at least I got that out.
He did, yes. Some other you will know that Josh Portner, formerly of Zip, is now kind of CEO and owner, I think, of Silka, isn't he? And he hosts the Marginal Gains podcast, which is properly for cycling geeks looking to go faster on their bikes. It's something that I quite regularly listen to, despite not riding my bike much anymore.
He is coming to GCN Megabase, actually. 2 weeks' time, and he's going to catch up with Alex. So you will see some of Josh Portner on the GCN Tech channel. Well, I'd say in 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, and he's been at the forefront of going fast on a bike with equipment for a very long time now, hasn't he?
He has indeed, yeah.
Right, give us a moment, and we'll be back with the rest of the show soon.
Did I miss much?
No. Next up, if Si can hold it together, hack / bodge of the week. First up, Richard Goodman 2012. This shifter combines a SRAM Force hydraulic brake mechanical shifter body with a Shimano rim brake lever and Di2 shift buttons and electronics. Why? Because of the pandemic. I couldn't get hydraulic braking with electronic shifting at any reasonable price, but I could get the parts to do this, and I like to be different.
That is astonishing. I have never seen a Shimano shifter before, but I'm utterly gobsmacked. The only question I have for you, Richard, is this looks like your right-hand lever, but yet it looks like you've mounted the Di2 buttons on the inside of it, which would be quite a major oversight if that is the case.
It does look like it's the right-hand part of the bar, doesn't it?
Yes. So that would be really weird. It'd be like Filippo Ganna illegal time trial position.
It is next to a wall, isn't it?
Yeah. But anyway, I don't know how you've done it, but I think it's amazing.
I'm going to presume that that's not the case, that they are mounted correctly. I mean, you wouldn't go to that level of effort and make it look that neat and have them on the wrong side of the bar.
No, you wouldn't, would you? What I would love to know now is if we could see the reaction of a product designer at SRAM or Shimano to this level of ingenuity. I mean, would they be like, oh, that's pretty good? Or would they be like, oh my God?
Or Campanella.
Well, yeah.
Completely left out.
Yeah, well, they're just like sitting back, loving it.
Well, if you could explain yourself, Richard, as to why it looks like the buttons are on the wrong side, that would be very much appreciated. But I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and say hack.
Oh, yeah, a hack. So much a hack.
Okay.
Weirdly, though, 27% of you lot don't agree.
Well,
How is that not a hack?
Maybe they felt like it was on the wrong side. Who knows?
Yeah, all right. Anyway, top work that. Right, next one, we got this one from Specialized Rider, the back seat bike mount. We've got a Ram truck, and we were stuck with a dilemma while traveling with our travel trailer. We could leave the bikes in the bed of the truck on the bike rack, but it's not secure when we're away from the truck. we could put them in the travel trailer, but they get in the way and there's no way of securing them. So we came up with this mounting system that will keep both bikes secure in the back seat of the truck and stop them banging into each other. So there you go.
I
pretty
love
neat, isn't it?
those. I really like those bike mounts that people put inside trucks or at the back of pickups, etc. They look so neat, don't they?
They do look really neat. Yeah, fair play. I like that. That's a hack from me.
How's the wheel held up? Oh no, it's sorry, I'm being completely done there. That's just the back wheel of the other bike, isn't it? So the wheel's in the trunk, don't we? All right, in that case, it's a hack from me.
Yeah, and 96% of you lot say that is a hack as well. That's pretty impressive, that.
Miss Lizzie, meanwhile, ratchet clamps are the new cable tie. Well, Si will be the person that decides that. By the end of each ride, my bike seat would slip as a pint-sized 185 centimetre lady. That's over 6 foot, so I can only assume pint size is tongue-in-cheek. I was getting frustrated by my knees banging into my chin. However, I noticed the reflector clip would catch it, so I added $1 Australian worth of ratchet clamps and problem solved. I now don't leave home without spares and obviously cable ties.
Well, I mean, it's a really neat looking solution to your problem there, isn't it? Marginally better than a zip tie, perhaps, but I mean, have you tried fibre grip? Because that might be less obvious as a method of stopping your seat post slipping. Cheeky bit of fibre grip on the seat post does work wonders, doesn't it?
It does, yes. You may remember, Si, that many moons ago, on the only time that I decided to ride home from the office, 100 kilometres, I was on a brand new bike and I could not get the seat post to stop slipping down. And in the end, I just succumbed and thought I'm going to have to ride the halfway point home with my knees around my ears. It was immensely frustrating.
What, you rode it back the next day?
No, I had to swap load of stuff over to a different bike and then ride that one back into a monstrous headwind all the way, and hence why I've never done it again.
Well, there you go, Lizzie. That's the alternative solution. Just get a new bike.
Well, the alternative is to get so mad you just basically stop riding. I'm sure you don't want to do that. I know how frustrating it is, so I'm going to say hack.
Well, I'm going to have to say bodge because it sounds like it's a permanent solution. So,
no.
Well, that's what it's like.
Yeah, maybe.
So,
yeah, I'm changing to bodge.
Yeah, go on then. 76% of you lot said that was a bodge as well. Sorry, Lizzie, but yeah, try some fibre grip if you haven't already, and then yeah. Otherwise, I don't know what you do actually if fibre grip doesn't work. Shim it, Coke cans, trim a Coke can, stick that inside your seat post. That used to be an old school
It
hack.
did, didn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it did. I had a bike in 2005 that had that whilst I was racing.
The new recruits for the Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe team weren't born then, don't
No.
Right then, Jojo 1976. Interesting handlebar setup. Spotted this on my train journey this morning. Possibly the strangest handlebar setup I've seen. Yes, that is quite scary, isn't it?
And yet surprisingly common, isn't it? Even before 2005, when I was very young, I remember seeing bikes with their handlebars upturned like that. And it's something that we get sent a reasonable amount of times, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you hold on to the brake levers, do you think? And every time you go over a bump, you slow down?
I don't know. I mean, it does seem particularly awkward, but I guess, well, I've got no idea the reason for that particular position. Maybe it's some sort of down with the kids cool style.
Maybe it is, Dan. That'd be generous, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, 92% of you lot said that was a bodge.
And that would really explain why we know nothing about it as well, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I've got to add my 2 cents and say that's a complete bodge as well.
Yeah, I'm saying bodge.
Yeah, this last one, Shane Allen. Last week we featured his track pump stand for taller cyclists. We said that it was good, but could do better. Anyway, he's come back in and said, here we go then. So he's listened to mine and Connor's excellent feedback and has carried it out. And here we go. Look, his track pump now is attached to the very nice looking base that he's created with straps. So there we go.
Your feedback being that just resting it on a platform like that wouldn't help because every time you lift it up, it would come off the platform.
Exactly. But now, I hate to say it, Shane, but surely every time you lift it up, just the platform's going to come off the ground as well. So you need to add a base to the platform for you to stand on.
Unless it's an incredibly heavily filled piece of wood, like lead inside it or something.
Yeah, okay, that would work. Presumably that's what you've done, Shane.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that's a hack.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, because I'm just going to assume that it's so heavy it won't come off the ground.
Yeah. He's making one for Connor, he said.
Is he?
Yeah, it's really cool, isn't it? So there we go. 80% of you lot said that was a hack as well. I actually can't remember how many people said it was a hack last week. So
No, I'm not sure.
hopefully more people agree this time. But anyway, there you go. Thank you, Shane, for sending that one back in again. You can, of course, submit any hacks or bodges that you fancy via the GCN app, and you don't have to wait until next week to have a look through loads of hacks and bodges. Get voting. They're all up on the GCN app for you to have a look at. It's time now for Caption Competition, that part of the show where you get a chance to get your hands on a coveted GCN Elite water bottle. All you got to do is put a witty caption in the comment section down below. First of all, we'll read out the results from last week.
Yep, this was the photo that we gave you on last week's GCN show, and our winner this week is Clement Suligo J. Try, who put caption, "Loyal fan gives Fabio Jakobsen some well-deserved FaceTime." Very good, Clement. Get in touch with us on Facebook with your address and we'll get the bottles sent out to you. Here's the photo that you can get stuck into this week from the podium of the Volta Valenciana. I will get you started. Mikel Landa, only rider on Bahrain Victorious, not told to pull his socks up.
You need to pull your socks up, mate.
That's not bad, mate.
No, it's not bad. But I mean, you're out of laughter for the day, aren't you? You've used up all of your laughter credits.
Yeah, maybe. Either that or I'm just really in the mood and it was just with pants. But anyway, no, there you go. If you think you can do better, and you probably can, well, I suspect there'll all be captions on a theme here, won't
Might
they?
well be, yes.
Anything about the size of ankles will automatically be discounted, though, won't it?
No, go for it.
It?
Go for it.
You know, I was doing a cyclocross race at the weekend, and I overtook one guy, and he heckled me with about the size of my ankles. Oh, I thought it was you, sir. I recognise your ankles. Thanks for that.
This was on the course where I broke my ankle, wasn't it?
It was, yes. Yes, sturdy ankles are very useful at the Sham Cross cyclocross course.
Si Richardson has the last laugh. Anyway, let us know your best captions in the comment section down below. We'll pick a winner next week. Just before we let you know what's coming up on the channel this week, a few comments we picked out from the last 7 days worth of videos on GCN, starting with this one that was under Girona Uncovered from Jonathan Peake. What an amazing person and athlete Ashley is. Ashley Morgan Passio, of course. This is one of the best GCN videos I've seen. So good to promote the champions in the Women's World Tour. We'd love to see more videos like this.
But yeah, I think we'd love to make more like that, actually. I'm glad you liked it as well, because I thought it was a cool vid.
It is, yeah, and I think Ashley is just a genuinely nice person, but also a great ambassador for the sport, as you pointed out.
Well, that's it. She definitely makes time for doing things like, you know, hanging out with us. Doesn't she really? Like, you know, but that's, yeah, it helps, doesn't it? Get her name out, but also advocating the sport as well. So no, super cool. We massively appreciate it. Under the GCN World Champs, who is the fastest presenter? Trader Z13, Manon's face of disbelief when Hank said he was using his brain just couldn't be disguised. She always has the most expressive expressions.
Sometimes you got to play with your brains. Now, I wouldn't put it past me to outbrain them, but here we go.
Yes. I mean, there was a certain irony to that, because Hank was so wired that I'm not entirely sure much of what he was saying was making sense. But anyway, there we go.
It seems like a timely point to remind viewers that we will be hosting the eSport Actual World Championships 1 week on Saturday. So that's the 18th of February. You can catch it on GCN Plus, but also you can catch it free to view on GCN Racing's YouTube channel. So we'll have a pre-show, mid-shows between all of the races, because in total there are 6, and a post-race debrief as well. So we hope you'll join us for that.
The format, if you've not seen the video that we did, by the way, the format is absolutely mega. Like, they really have done a cracking job with it. So yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. Yeah.
Under Are You Overtraining? Sorry, that caught me out. Under Are You Overtraining? Makes sense when I go back to it. Joseph Violet, along with his wealth of knowledge and experience, I'm most impressed at how approachable and easy to understand his explanations to complex scientific concepts are. This is, of course,
that's all right.
Sam Milan.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. No, not me. Yeah, he's quite the guy, Dan. Anyway, under cycling mistakes to avoid, Bill McAfee, biggest training mistake is watching too many training videos from a very comfortable chair. It's easier to watch someone else work hard than it is to work hard yourself. That's true, although sometimes you watch a bike race and that's that's pretty tough going. My heart rate was through the roof for the cyclocross.
And mine was as well, yeah. I was genuinely nervous watching a bike race for the first time in some time.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't really have a preference as to who won, I was still heart rate beating like this. Under last week's show, Mr. Andy S said I made the exact same face as Si when Connor asked about cold sausage rolls versus wet sausage rolls.
Yes, and then I did like this from Juan Piqué about the same thing. Connor's comment on the sausage roll had me in stitches. I wonder if that's how he refers to himself when talking to his wife after a ride. Oh yes, the sausage roll is horribly wet and cold today. Which is quite the thought, isn't it?
James Vitter 5676. On the flip side of cyclist versus motorist, I always give a big thank you wave to anyone who waves me ahead or waits behind until it's safe to pass.
Yes,
Proper etiquette.
that's so important, I think, actually, isn't it? Yes, I think that's a really good thing to do. And I realised from Nelson Guerrero as well, under the show as well. Thanks for bringing the all-important matter of road rage to our attention. My riding buddy and I use the 3 a-hole rule every time we ride. Each time we go riding, we allow for 3 a-holes before allowing ourselves to get angry. I find this approach very effective, as in most instances, we only come across 1 or 2 a-holes. So there you go.
Well, I can see this falling down if you go out riding with 3 a-holes in the first place.
That is true. So you're just angry from the minute. Yeah, but then, you would get angry, wouldn't you, if you were going for a bike ride with 3 a-holes?
You would do, yes.
Absolutely. So no, I think that's great. I like that. So both James Witt and Nelson Guerrero, those are 2 things that we shall definitely incorporate into future GCN videos, I think.
Right, what's coming up on the channel? Well, those of you who enjoyed the recent video, Ashley Mormon-Pasio, we've got more for you of her this week. Climbing tips with Ashley Mormon-Pasio, one of the best climbers in the World Tour, winner of the Tour de Romandie late last year, wasn't she? After out climbing Annemiek van Vleuten, so she's pretty good at going uphill.
We had high hopes for her in the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift, is what I mean, but did she get sick? She's delayed retirement for a year to have a proper crack at the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift.
I can't remember where she finished. I thought she was up there or thereabouts, but yeah. We'll get back in the edit and let you know where she finished. On Thursday, we show you how to draft like a pro. I always tell you about this, but learning how to properly place yourself behind or slightly to the side of the rider in front of you is so important in saving energy and trying to stay with the group, isn't it?
Strada Bianca KOM.
Well, you think I wasn't on the front?
Yeah, and then sticking with the theme of amazingly talented World Tour riders, Manon is hanging out with Elisa Longo Borghini. So Manon's out at the UAE Tour, the Women's Tour, creating a load of content out there. And anyway, she's managing to catch up with Elisa Longo Borghini. So we've got that video coming for you on Friday. Then on Saturday, from World Tour Pro to Coffee Mogul, can we call him? Christian Coffee Snob? Well, no, more than that. Anyway, Christian Meyer, many of you will know as the part of the La Fabrica coffee empire in Girona and service course. So Hank caught up with him on part of his Girona holiday, basically. And then also on Sunday, me and Ollie have found a very intriguing bike that is probably what bikes would have looked like if the UCI hadn't banned stuff. So anyway, check that one out on Sunday.
I don't know about that. I look forward to seeing that one. In terms of GCN Plus, I'll quickly try and whiz through all the racing we've got for you this week because there is a lot. In terms of road racing, we've got highlights of the Tour of Oman, which we'll get up for you as soon as we possibly can after each stage. The weekend, we've got 3 one-day races, 2 in Spain, Clásica de Almería on Sunday, Vuelta a Murcia on Saturday, and there's a brand new race in Portugal on Sunday, the Figueira Classic. Fabio Jakobsen amongst the starters in that one. On top of that, we have the European Track Championships running from Wednesday through to Sunday. 2 cyclocross races at the weekend, the Super Prestige on Saturday and the X2 on Sunday. And on Sunday, in the middle of the night, our time, the Australian National Mountain Bike Championship.
Is that available in New Zealand?
I would assume it's available everywhere except for Australia, but for all those races, check what's available where you are. One race, though, that we were hoping to show that has, for obvious reasons, been cancelled is the Tour of Antalya from Turkey. And it goes without saying that Si, myself, and everyone else at GCN, our thoughts are very much with everyone affected through that earthquake in Turkey.
Yeah, absolutely. Terrible event there. Whilst we're talking, though, about videos, content, on GCN Plus as well, the documentary this week is Jonathan Schubert and Mark Threlfall trying to break the record for cycling across the English Channel, or La Manche if you are French, which is well, it's slightly bonkers, isn't it? But anyway, have a check that one out because it's a remarkable documentary, if nothing else. Right, I think that's it from us, isn't it?
That is all from us for this week, but of course we'll be back with the GCN show this time next week. See you then.